very, very good happening. Most of these breakaway groups have athletes who perform better than your so-called legitimate seeming NSAs. Now, you know what? If I were one of the POC officials, I'll go ahead and round up my men and say, hey, you guys, this is our country. If this is the only segment of our country that we can be proud of, let's go ahead and be truthful. Let's go ahead and give what's due to our countrymen. Let's go ahead and support athletes who deserve supports. Let's forget about this politics. Too much politics.
I was just speaking to someone earlier today on the telephone, and this person is someone very involved in bodybuilding, another sport, and he said the same thing. The same thing. They were tired of the politics and all the nonsense they had to put up with the NSA-POC relationship, and they actually formed a new group now. And then they're just doing their thing, independent of what Mr. Cojuangco says.
Exactly. No. In swimming, buddy, we have the so-called ASAP. We have the Philippine leagues. And we are all actively participating in international games, non-IOC sanctioned. And swimmers are pretty good. Coaches are exposed to better coaching techniques and skills. Swimmers have gotten better experience. Times have been improved. And these are just the things that are being robbed by this seeming legitimate NSA. PASA itself. I mean, it has robbed the very essence of swimming from athletes.
I've heard of some athletes who have just given up on the sport because they see no future in it, they see no hope in it, and some of them have quit sports altogether.
I have met them. They not only gave up, you know what they did? Some is still continued, but where are they?
Overseas.
Overseas. In fact, one of the coaches sat down with me and even told me more than 20 coaches are now out of the Philippines. Doing coaching where? Timbuktu, Saudi Arabia, and whatever.
Getting well paid for it.
Yes,
I'm sure.
yes. I mean, it's a drain. It's a loss for our country.
Let's talk about the money aspect, because we know, as you mentioned earlier, that the money flows from PSC to the NSAs. Now, is the POC involved in the money flow in any way, officially?
Directly, they may not be, but indirectly, yes, they are. Why? Is because, remember, the PSC gets the funding from Part4.
Yes.
And from PSC distributes that amongst the NSAs. And whichever NSA would represent or pick out athletes, if it is IOC sanctioned, they definitely go to POC. Now, these are supported by PSC and NSAs, money coming from PSC. So that is the indirect involvement of funding as far as POC is concerned. But directly, they are not.
Yes, and that creates, for me, I think it creates really a very awkward situation, because if I'm an NSA and I wanted to compete, let's say, in the SEA Games, I have to get the approval of the POC.
Yes.
So, you know, I mean, the POC would then have a lot of power over me, over my members, saying that, you know, if you don't play ball with me, I won't approve your lineup.
That is basically what's happening. A lot of athletes have been jettisoned from the legitimate national teams because of that kind of discrimination. Exactly. That's what's happening. If you don't play footsies with me, if you don't rub elbows with me, you're out, even if you're the best. It has happened.
Is there a lot of money, I mean, in this whole system, the whole sports system, going down from PSC, down and up, and is there a lot of money, you think?
Well, the thing that I can speak of, let's just talk about what the RA 467 something that I said, RA, the creation of the Philippine Sports Commission. Let's dissect let's trace the funds coming to them. Now, it gets 30% of charity funds from lottery drawings, 30%. It gets 5% gross income from Part4.
Wow.
It gets proceeds of stamps being prepared, which is in commemoration of any sports, and plus 3% of taxes slapped on sports equipment.
Yes.
Now, on top of that, they get some
donations, and they can solicit sponsors.
That's fine and dandy. If that will be properly used, I think we can have and produce best athletes. But see, the concern here, this is money, this is moolah. I don't understand why, till this date, accounting is a problem.
And, you know...
In fact, even POC,
Yeah.
I've heard that still they could not liquidate the money that have been funneled to them during the last SEA Games held here in our country.
Yes. Now, if you consider all that, the PAGCOR funds, PCSO funds, the stamps funds, the tax on sporting goods and all that, that's really a lot of money
You bet.
circulating the system. And now, if I'm an athlete watching the show, he's going to be thinking, he or she's going to be thinking, okay, if there's so much money, how come we live in near squalor in our barracks in Rizal Memorial, for instance? How come our equipment is like this? How come our coaches don't get paid? How come, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
That question is best asked to these leaders. Where do they put the money? Where do they put the money? Because till this date, they cannot even account for the money. That is why most of these NSAs or even the PASA officials, there's a pending case against them on graft and corruption. Unexplained funds that was received by them.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's sad. The real victims here, not only the athletes, buddy, our country as well.
Of course.
It has gone down the drain. It's a pity. It's a pity.
I think in the last SEA Games, Thailand garnered like 120 medals. I think the Philippines only had 11 or so, like a dozen.
You know, during my time, when all these leaders were not sitting at that time, you know, buddy, we were placing third, we were placing fourth in the general standing. But now, none even of the swimmers, despite, before I forget, despite the fact that these swimmers that Mark Joseph would always boast of, did you know that these are all imports?
Imports.
Yes, imports. Now, what we have to understand, from the policies and objectives of PSC, which I think we have to remind them that the money must be intended, it must be earmarked for grassroots
sports development.
Yes.
Now, you have to explain to me like I'm a 5-year-old, because there's something in this that I can't get through my thick skull.
Okay.
Okay. We've got these talented swimmers here, no doubt about it. We have local talent here, homegrown, and there's money for them in the system, supposedly. Why is there a need to import swimmers? I mean, they get Phil-Ams, they get Filipinos from Europe, or how does this happen?
You know what? It's the easiest thing to do. Shortcut.
Okay.
Why should I develop someone from Mindanao where I will spend money and time? Why should I do that when I can just go ahead and Google in my computer, find out the best swimmers, Phil-Am, Canadian, or Timbuktu, or what have you. If they've got good times, hey, let me go ahead and import you. Thought it's going to be feathers on my shoulders. Thought I trained you. But the truth of the matter is, these are instantaneous swimmers. I mean, I don't have anything against the imports. They too have that Filipino blood that runs to their system. But you know what, buddy? Where is loyalty? After these international games, they're gone. They're back to US. They're back to Canada.
And as a taxpayer,
yes,
contributing to the money in the PSC, I would want my money to go to a Filipino living in country.
You better believe it. Who will be loyal, who will continue and improve and serve the country. I mean, I have nothing against imports. But you know what? Our leaders, that's the best. Why? Short time. Short time, and I can boast. I can boast. I mean, that's too much.
Is Mr. Joseph doing this? He's bringing them in and having them compete under our flag?
If there is something positive on Joseph's, that is his expertise, to fool people.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
You better believe it. You better believe
now,
it.
how come we don't hear about this in the news? I mean, this is all news to me, and I'm a newsman. So
that is why,
I should
buddy,
be on the cutting edge of news
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I congratulate your researchers in pinning me down and to be here. It's not said. I don't understand even with the media. I mean, everybody is shouting about this thing, and I don't understand why it's not in the papers. I don't know. That is why this is an opportunity for me, and I really thank you that you're able to have this surface so the people may know, so the public may know, so that my country will know, so that the Filipinos may know. And not only that,